Hi, good day. This is Teacher Rika, your math teacher. Today, we will talk about multiplication involving binomials. Last time, we discussed about multiplication of monomials. So for this lesson, you should have a mastery of the addition, subtraction, and multiplication of integers and the skill in multiplying monomials. What do we mean by binomials? They are two-term polynomials. For example, are the expressions y squared plus 3, which involves y squared as the first term and 3 as the second term. So here are the two terms. And then ab cubed c to the fourth minus 1. So the two terms there are the one underlined. And 15 plus yw to the fourth x squared. So these are the two terms. How do we multiply a monomial by a binomial? So when we say monomial, it's a one-term polynomial, and a binomial is a two-term polynomial. Example, a cubed times the binomial a plus 1. So what we have to do is to distribute a cubed to each term in the binomial. Multiply first a cubed and a plus a cubed times 1. Now, last time, when we multiply monomials with the same variable, we simply add the exponents. So the exponents of a are 3, and there's 1 here which is invisible. So that's 3 plus 1. And then any expression multiplied by 1 is equal to itself. And then simplify, 3 plus 1 will get 4. So the product is a to the fourth plus a cubed. Now, why is it that we did not add the two terms? Because they are not similar. When we say similar terms, aside from that they have the same variable, they should have the same exponents. Now, since they are of different exponents, we cannot combine the two. So that's already the final answer. Another example, what's the product between the monomial 2x squared and the binomial 3x cubed minus 5x to the fourth? So again, distribute 2x squared to each term in the binomial. Multiply 2x squared times 3x cubed first, plus the product of 2x squared and then negative 5x to the fourth. So if it involves numerical coefficients already, so multiply the numerical coefficients first. 2 times 3, it will have a product of 6, and then since they are of the same variable, you just simply add the exponents 2 plus 3 here. So that's it. And then next, multiply 2 and negative 5. So we got negative 10 here. So if you have the different signs to multiply the integers, the product is, if you have two factors with different signs, the product is negative. And then copy x in here, and then add the exponents of x, which is 2 and 4. So if we will simplify, that will give us 2 plus 3, that's 5 in here, and then 2 plus 4, that's 6. So that's the product. How about negative 3m cubed n times the binomial negative 7m to the fifth plus 8n to the sixth? So distribute negative 3m cubed n to each of the terms in the binomial. So get the product of the two first, plus the product of the other two. So multiply negative 3 times negative 7. So they have the same sign, so we'll get a positive product. So that's 21. And then m has a pair in here. Add the exponents 3 plus 5. So that's the exponent of m here. And then n has no pair, so simply copy it. Plus the product of negative 3 times 8, that will give us negative 24. And then add the exponent. M has no pair, so simply copy it here. And then there's 1 as an exponent for n in here, so that's 1 plus 6. If we will simplify, so positive times the negative is equal to a negative. So 21 m raised to 8n minus 24 m cubed n raised to 7. That's the final answer. Okay, how to multiply two binomials? Let's say we're given n plus 3 times n plus 4. So the parenthesis indicates an operation of multiplication. So by FOIL method, what is FOIL method? FOIL is an acronym for F. That means the first terms in the two binomials. So the first terms are the one encircled, n and end. The outer terms for O are the terms n and 4. I stands for the inner terms, 3 and n. And L stands for the last terms, 3 and 4. So we will follow that sequence. So multiply the first terms first. So that's for F. So the first terms are n and n here. So that's n times n plus the outer terms, n times negative 4, plus the inner terms, the product of the inner terms, 3 times n, plus the product of the last terms, 3 times 4. And then let's simplify. So we can add the exponents of n in here. There's an invisible 1. So that's 1 plus 1. And then n times 4 will give us 4n. 3 times n will give us 3n. And 3 times 4 will give us 12. And then simplify further. So 1 plus 1, that's 2. That's the exponent of n. And then why did we add the 2? Because they are similar terms. So when we say similar terms, in here, on the final answer, they have the same variable and the variables have the same exponents. So to add them, you simply add the numerical coefficients, 4 plus 3, which is 7. Then copy n. So that's the final answer, n squared plus 7n plus 12. Okay, another example. What is the product between the two binomials a to the 5th plus 5a and a squared minus 9? So by FOIL method, F, first terms. So the first terms are a to the 5th and a squared. So get the product. Plus the the outer terms for O, a squared and negative 9. And then I for the inner terms, 5a times negative 5a times a squared. And then L for the last terms, 5a times negative 9. And then simplify. So we can add the exponents of a in here, 5 plus 2. And then the product of a to the 5th times negative 9. So there's 1 here as a numerical coefficient. So 1 times negative 9 will give us negative 9. And then copy a to the 5th. 5 times 1 in here will give us 5. And then add the exponents of a, 1 plus 2. And then 5 times negative 9 is negative 45. Copy a. And then simplify further. When you add the exponents, that will give us a to the 7th. Positive times negative is negative. So that's negative or minus 9a to the 5th. Then we have 5a raised to 3 in here, minus 45a. Another example are the binomials 3b squared minus a times b squared minus a. So again, by FOIL method, F for the first terms, the product of 3b squared and b squared. O for the outer terms, the product of 3b squared and negative a. I for the inner terms, the product of negative a and b squared. And then L for the last terms, the product of negative a and negative a. And then let's simplify. So that's 3 times 1 in here will give us 3. And then add the exponents of b, 2 plus 2. That's 4. So we have positive times a negative. That will give us minus here. So 3 times negative 1, that's negative 3. So that's why it's negative in here. And then a, b squared, since they have no pair, just simply copy, arrange them alphabetically. Arrange the variables alphabetically. Now negative a times b squared is simply negative ab squared. So there's an invisible 1 there, negative 1 times 1. And the negative a times negative a, so a negative expression multiplied by a negative expression will give us a positive product. So that's why it's plus here. And then add the exponents of a, that's 1 plus 1. That's why it's 2 in here. So that's the product. Let's have some practice. What's the product between w to the 4th and 8 minus w cubed? So that's a monomial times a binomial. So distribute w to the 4th to each term. So multiply w to the 4th by 8 plus the product of w to the 4th to negative w cubed. And simplify further. This will give us 8w to the 4th. And then add the exponents. 4 plus 3. It's 7 in here. So negative 1 times 1 in here will give us negative. That's why this becomes negative in here. Another example, 2uv times the binomial 5u plus 3v. So again, distribute 2uv to each term. So we will end up with here. And then simplify further. 2 times 5. That will give us 10. And then u has an exponent of 1 here as well as in here. So that's 1 plus 1. That's why it's 2. And then copy v because it has no pair. And then plus 2 times 3. That will give us 6 in here. So u has no pair. So copy it here. And then v has an exponent of 1 there and 1 here. So 1 plus 1, that will give us 2. So that's the product. And the binomial x plus 5 and y minus 2, what's the product of the two? So by FOIL method, first terms, product of the first terms, x and y. Product of the outer terms, x and negative 2. Product of the inner terms, 5 and y. And product of the last terms, 5 and negative 2. So when you simplify x times y, since they are of different variables, just simply copy them, x, y. X times negative 2 is negative 2x. 5 times y is 5y. And 5 times negative 2 will give us negative 10. So here's the activity. If you would like to answer it, you can pause the video. And if you find it too fast, you can always go back to the slides. So that's it. I hope that you're following all of the videos I made because they are interconnected. And don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell to get notified for the next videos. Thank you and see you for the next lesson.